Welcome to today's video, you guys, and this is going to be a good one today. So we got some BC Racing BR series coilovers, and we're going to be throwing those on this 2004 Subaru Legacy GT-B. It is JDM too, and yeah, we'll just bring you guys through the whole process from start to finish. So yeah, let's get started. Let's open up the box here. Ooh. It's a box inside of a box. Can you believe that? So this would be one of your front struts. So it's even labeled front right strut. And then these are camber plates. This is how you adjust your dampening. And then to adjust ride height is down here. These do come, they come preloaded from the factory. The preload is set. So I'm not going to mess with that. It is normal to be able to turn your spring. You want just a bit of preload. These will be good. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's set these on the table. Nice little toolkit, some spanner wrenches, an Allen key. Nice to do that stuff. Now these, I'm not too sure what these are for. My best guess is that this is so that you can adjust the rears without taking the interior apart. So now we're going to go ahead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to crack all of my lugs loose, and then I'm going to jack one side of the entire car up, the driver's side. We'll jack it up, put it on jack stands, and then we'll start with the front right wheel. So now that we have our wheel removed, I went ahead and opened up the hood as well so we can access those top three strut nuts. So what we're going to do here is we are going to remove this bolt right here for the ABS sensor. That's a 12 millimeter. You're going to move your two main strut bolts, which are 19 millimeters bolt and the nut side. And back over here, you're going to undo that 12 millimeter for the brake line. And this assembly is going to drop down. And from the top of the car, there's three 12 millimeter nuts. We're going to loosen those off and then remove the strut assembly. One thing I will say, you're going to want to hold on to this and keep it angled towards the car because you don't want your axle to pop out. I'm just going to take a bungee cord and strap this to the control arm so that it doesn't pop out again on me. Now we're going to move these three nuts from the top of the strut. And it is going to fall out pretty soon. Okay. I just got my one hand on the bottom here just to catch it. Oh, that bolt's gone forever. And now I'm just gonna lower this out. And there we go. So yeah, the JDM Spec Bs actually come with factory blisting suspension, which is nice, but I believe mine have seen better days. Actually, one of them is pretty clapped out, and then both of my front bearings are gone. So I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna slap this in there, and we're gonna see where it's at, and then we're gonna go from there. That's what we're gonna do. Camber plates to be 90 degrees to the center line of your vehicle, because camber is a inward and outward adjustment. So I'm gonna slap these in, we're gonna snug them up, and then we're gonna drop the car and see what the wheel gap is. So to get this lined up, I'm actually just gonna go ahead and jack up my control arm under the ball joint, and we're just going to raise this into place. So by the way, so this is your camber bolt, so I'm just going to put it to the most negative setting. I want to show you guys something here regarding the top bolt and the camber adjustment. So it is set to 0 from factory, which would mean the bolt would be straight up and down. But I'm going to set mine negative just because I will be getting a wheel alignment, but just because I want it to not rub as much. So if you look, when I turn this bolt, you can see it actually pushes the knuckle in and out, which is adjusting your positive and negative camber. So like this would be pretty much negative. I don't know how many degrees it is, but I think that's what I'm going for. I'll pull this out now. So you can see, so negative is that way. Yeah, so the flange part faces towards the car, and that's gonna give us negative camber. Top one was the one with the washer, nut. For as of right now, all I'm actually gonna do, I'm gonna leave these loose, and I'm just going to snug up these bolts, drop the car down just to get an idea of where it's at. So let's just get a baseline. So right now we have, I'm gonna say another, what's the top of the tire? About 1.25 inches of wheel gap there. So I am gonna be going a little bit lower. So what I'm going to do is measure. So right now, from the bottom of my collar to the top of my strut base there, we're at about 2.75 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this so that the top of this is down to 2.25 inches. Maybe just over 2.25 actually. So to do that, we're going to break this collar loose with our spanner wrench, just like that. That's going to pop up. And now I'm just going to continuously thread from here, and I'm going to thread this top, we're just going to call it a nut. So now I'm going to be threading the entire strut in to the base of the shock. I also do want to note my front and my rear fenders are rolled. I think it's just probably a good idea to do to prevent rubbing. Whoa, whoa. Oh, all right, that is looking pretty good. You know, that's just about 1 finger. I think it'll push it down here. I think it'll definitely settle out. Additionally, I just want to note that I took a piece of cardboard. I'm just going to be noting the measurements. So then I just have reference: right front, rear right, rear left, left front. So I'm just cracking this bottom bolt loose on the suspension now. I've removed the wheel. Same thing, 19 mil on each side. And we're going to remove the bottom, and then I'll show you guys how to remove the top ones. So now we're in the trunk here, and what I've done is I've removed this bottom piece. I push both the seats forward, and then I just lifted up this panel here, and we can see the 2 bolts for the top of the strut tower. They're 2 14 millimeters. So I'm gonna loosen these guys off, just like that. So I've removed that bottom bolt. I kind of used a jack to support the shock and the knuckle while pulling it out because it was under some tension. But yeah, the bolt's out now. So I'm just gonna pop this guy out, just like that. So I went ahead and done some measurements here. So basically, or 2.75 inches. So what I'm doing here is I am measuring from the base of this lower collar to the bottom of the strut. And I've already marked this one, but basically it was at 2 1/8 inches. So since it was 2 1/8, we're going to drop it to 1 1/8 inches 6/8 is where we're going to drop it. So I'm just measuring from the bottom of the collar to the top right there. So we're going to lower this until it hits my mark right down there, because then we're dropping the front and the rear a 1/2 inch, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, so I cracked this bottom collar loose, and now I'm just threading this in until I get to the measurement I am looking for. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this jack to hold the bottom of the strut into place. So I'm just screwing these nuts on now, threading them on. So I'm using the jack here to jack up the knuckle, and then just kind of enough to line the bolt up, and then I'm just going to whack her in place with the hammer. Now I'm going to tighten this bolt up, make sure it's all good and tight. This is what we're sitting at. I'm going to run it there, and we're going to see what happens. I'm pretty even, and I think it's going to settle out a little bit. Liam?
No, this is your boss. All right, see you soon.
Yep, see ya. So Mr. Liam is here. He's helping me out.
Hello.
Thanks, Leo. Yeah. So this side of the car is down. I do think it's going to settle a little bit, so I think that's pretty good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the rear strut and loosen off these collars and size it down to my measurement, which is 2 1/8. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the front one, which is 2 1/4. So we're going to adjust these. I set the preload, I set the front to 18 clicks, and I set the rear to 16 clicks. Coilover install, you guys. I'm super happy with how this turned out. I've got minimal rubbing on the front fenders, but I'll live with that. Yeah, until we meet again.